I jumped out of bed this morning with my brain spinning with thought. It's early Sunday morning. Normally don't do my podcast recordings now, but I couldn't help myself. The thought of why Delta Dental of Utah and Georgia and many other Delta Dentals that we have engaged in conversation with have declared statements like this, and I quote, "It's never been illegal or a breach of your contract to offer upgrades to your patients and charge them. It sounds like you're taking good care of our clients, Dr. Thorpe, and we appreciate that." End of quote. Wow. These are Delta Dental corporate leaders who I would state are qualified to actually manage patient care. And then there is Delta Dental of Washington and Oklahoma, and a handful of other PPO companies who honestly don't give a shit about their clients because they are doing their best to redefine terms like bundling and unbundling and what constitutes a buildup. And I know we could go on for hours on all the stuff that you and I face and our office managers face. And they are literally telling their docs to purchase offshore crowns to increase profit margins from their low reimbursement rates because it's what the DSOs are doing. Telling docs to consider joining DSO groups to be able to survive the PPO climate. Yes, my friends, those are statements that we have recordings of with Delta Dental of Washington reps stating those very words. Since it happens to be 5 a.m. on Sunday, I'm going to quote a religious leader, a guy named Oakes, who said, quote, "Man's laws cannot make moral what God has declared immoral," end of quote. We seem to be living in a world where certain segments of our country believe they have the right to redefine whatever the hell they want, even in dentistry. You see, in dentistry, dental insurance management teams are attempting to redefine terms like unbundling and value-added services. For some reason, dentistry has given these dental insurance companies the ability to change signed contracts at will without our consent to do so. I could go on for hours, but it just simply makes sense to me now. We have been covered in platitudes of change and have allowed our principles and values to be overrun by some individuals who are not qualified to manage oral health care, let alone tell us how to treat our patients. I'm just laughing. I think I just realized I dropped 2 profanities and quoted a religious leader all in the same thought on a Sunday. Oh, I'm in trouble. This is going to be the best Sunday ever. Woohoo! We begin our dental podcast right there.
Welcome, all of you fantastic dental podcast listeners, to the My Practice, My Business Dental Podcast Show, where we help dentists profit and thrive with excerpts from the clinical business of dentistry training here at My Practice, My Business. We'll be addressing and answering questions with current trends dentists and their teams face each and every day in their pursuit of this wonderful career we call dentistry. And now the host of our show, the clinical director and president at My Practice, My Business, Dr. Rob Thorpe.
How often do we hear dental thought leaders tell us to drop dental plans, or at least the worst ones? Inevitably, someone will ask the question, which ones are the worst ones? Or better yet, they ask, please define what is meant by the worst ones. Aren't they all bad? I love those guys that bring that statement up in the meetings. Then there are the grumblings from all of us on how bad the reimbursement rates are and how impossible it is to provide quality dentistry on a patient who is covered by a PPO plan that you are a provider for. Last but not least is our front office team members who have to deal with the dental insurance plans, their reps, and the deceptive EOBs, not to mention the patients who love to complain about their insurance coverage or lack thereof as they try to interpret the EOBs. I sometimes don't understand why the majority of front office team members are not in group therapy in every state. I think we're missing out on an opportunity for therapists to make money there. Anyway, I want to talk about the importance of fighting on principle and not on platitude when protecting dentists and the patients we serve. To understand the battle between principles and platitudes, we have to define the 2 terms. First is principle, and it's defined as the fundamental truth or proposition that serves as a foundation for a system or belief or behavior or for a chain of reasoning. For example, doesn't it seem to reason that if a dentist uses more expensive technology materials, medications, or value-added services, that the patient should be responsible for those additional charges? Is it not more ethical to offer our patients choice where choice exists? As a matter of principle, should dental insurance companies dictate the quality of dental care, or is it the right of the patient? As of the writing of this podcast, Delta Dental of Washington is currently attempting to dictate the quality of oral health care dentists in Washington state provide their clients, or should I say the dentist patients? Yeah, the ones we care for. They're attempting to redefine the definition of the term unbundling, meaning if you provide your patient with a more expensive crown or implant, you have always been able to charge your patient in Washington state an agreed upon amount for those better products. All of their reps have stated that you can do that, just like we read earlier when we started the podcast. We have those recordings. And doing so does not constitute unbundling of a procedure. It's called value-added service, not unbundling. Procedural consent and value-added fees have always been between the doctor-patient relationship, and that is up until recently in Washington and Oklahoma. How do we know this here at My Practice, My Business? How do we know this stuff here? That's what we specialize in, because we have recorded conversations stating such with their provider relation reps and reviewing dentists. We hope they stop their negative thought leadership and reinstate their previous protocols. As one of our contacts in the HR department of Microsoft stated, and I quote, "Delta has no right to dictate the quality of care my dentist can provide to me. We know the premiums we pay do not cover the best that dentistry can offer, and we are happy to pay for premium dental care. My dentist shouldn't be expected to pay for my care, and Delta better keep their nose out of it." End of quote. We'll keep you posted on this battle, because I think if they get a phone call from a company that has tens of thousands of employees, hundreds of thousands actually, on Delta Dental, I think that's where they need to hear about this information. At My Practice, My Business, we challenge the status quo of what's been taught by the masses, and we do so with principle. Those principles are the fundamental truths that are grounded within the insurance contracts that we sign and the state laws that either exist or the creation of new laws that can and should protect all of us. Our principles, ours, should be enshrined with our values as healthcare providers and not the dictates of the fiduciary interests of third-party payers. So frustrating. Let's continue. Platitude is defined as a remark or statement, especially one with moral content that has been used too often to be interesting or thoughtful. Platitudes have been criticized as giving a false impression of wisdom, making it easy to accept the falsehoods. A platitude is even worse than a cliche. It's a sanctimonious cliche, a statement that is not only old and overused, but it's often moralistic and imperious, meaning assuming power or authority without justification, oftentimes being arrogant and domineering. Cliches are defined as overused phrases. Phrases that were once considered original or insightful become cliches when they are overused, whereas platitudes are always considered shallow and unoriginal. Platitudes, by definition, simplify complex ideas, whereas cliches can handle both complex and simple ideas. For example, how many times do we hear the following platitudes from dental thought leaders? Platitude number 1. Send in your fee-for-service fee because that is how dental insurance companies increase our contracted fees. Oh, I got a new one for you on that one. Second one, and I just saw this in the Office Manager Networking group for the 50 billionth time. Number 2, you contracted with a dental insurance company. You are not allowed to charge an additional fee for a better crown or any other service because you signed. Whatever. Okay. Third one, if an EOB states that a procedure is inclusive and not billable to the patient, you have to write it off. Okay. Oh, I'm just reminded. There used to be a tagline with, sorry to go back to Delta Dental. This would be the fourth one, but I'll just state it. There used to be a tagline on Delta Dental because Delta Dental was actually created by dentists up in the state of Washington years and years and years ago. And I swear the tagline used to say, a dental insurance by dentists for dentists or something like that. That platitude, holy shiz. But that just wouldn't work today. Anyway, there are so many platitudes of false wisdom that I could mention and go on and on and on. But allow me to cover the first three so that you can judge for yourself how often you are taught platitudes and not principles from our dental thought leaders. Remember, platitudes just make us feel good and are usually, there's just no principles behind them. Let's tackle number one. Send in your fee-for-service fee because that is how dental insurance companies increase our contracted fees. I'll never forget the first time I asked a Blue Cross Blue Shield provider relations representative why our contracted fees have not kept up with the cost of living like our fee-for-service fees have, or as you guys now know it nowadays, like 35 years ago, it was fee-for-service fees. Now they call them UCRs, okay? They're synonymous. So she gave me several reasons why, and from their point of view, they actually made perfect business sense to me. I mean, I was actually in agreement with the Blue Cross Blue Shield rep. But then I asked her why the required necessity for dentists to send in their fee-for-service fees in hopes of increasing our contracted reimbursement fees because they haven't kept up. And her reply was completely contrarian to what I'd been told by consultants and other people in our own associations and everywhere. I mean, you hear it everywhere. We've been told this for years. And she said, quote, "We have always wondered where that rumor originated from because it has no effect whatsoever on our reimbursement rates with our dental providers," end of quote. It's like, are you kidding me? Why don't we go straight to the sources and ask them these questions? Imagine my shock as a young dentist back in the day, hearing something completely different from a person of authority who actually knew the truth. Tracy and I still hear this falsehood preached by the so-called dental authoritarians at trade shows and other such lectures or literature, and for some reason it makes everyone who hears it, they feel good about sending in their fee-for-service fees. Oh, I feel so much better now. Nothing resonates better than not knowing what the hell your actual production numbers are on any given day because you don't hook your patients' actual fee schedules to their family files so that you actually know what your production totals are. It's just some arbitrary number because you're writing off tens of thousands of dollars every month as the EOBs flow in. Insurance adjustments from EOBs on every single day is where our front team members can more easily commit fraud and embezzlement. But hey, no one wants to mention that little statistic when delivering their fee-for-service platitude. All right. I got one more for you, though. This is going to be a killer. I hope you're listening carefully. Tracy and I sat through a demo on an amazing software that's used by every dental insurance company out there as of today. They've used it for years. They use it to determine reimbursement rates to their dental providers like you and I, and a whole list of other things that help them as dental insurance companies. The sophistication of the data they have on all of us dentists is amazing, and it's also scary. We really want we want this software. It's super expensive because it can actually really benefit dental teams that we train in our team training, and especially in our advanced office manager front office training. So we're probably going to get it. You would die if you saw what it did. It's definitely on our immediate wish list. And the wonderful person who gave us the demo worked for one of the major insurance players for over a decade and revealed what Tracy and I have taught for years. He revealed it. What was the confirmed reveal? The rep gave us, sending in your fee-for-service fees doesn't mean jack shit when determining your contracted fees. There, I said it again. Principle provides a chain of reasoning, of common sense. Platitudes are meaningless regurgitated statements that often lack wisdom or truth. Our software demo friend went on to state that our contracted reimbursement fees have to fall in line with the dental insurance company's overhead, their entire overhead, including the bonusing of Delta Dental leadership and all the leadership of all the companies for millions of dollars of bonusing. That overhead has to be completely met with an additional 18 to 20% corporate profit on top of it. If this is not met, either reimbursement rates are decreased, hello California, with Delta Dental right now, you guys are suing them, the association is, or premiums are increased, or both. Surprise! Just look at what is happening. Right now out in California, I love it. The California Dental Association, they're suing Delta because of a substantial decrease in the dentist reimbursement rates. Sound familiar, Washington State? Mm-hmm. Now on to example 2. You contracted with a dental insurance company. You are not allowed to charge an additional fee for a better crown or any other service. It's in your contract. I mean, gosh, that platitude, whatever. Now, what's amazing, what is an amazing feel-good platitude that is often regurgitated by office manager extraordinaires, not to mention the dental consultants who have never read a dental contract. As of late, we have been battling a POS dental reviewer with Delta Dental in one of the western states. I might have mentioned that earlier. He's trying to tell dentists that patients do not get to choose their level of care. And if they do, the dentist is responsible for paying for the more expensive materials. Again, let me be very clear. Non-covered services, whether they are supported by the CDT code or have to be created, are the patient's responsibility, not the dentist and the team for paying for those services. All of you out there need to get active in your state dental associations. Be members of your state dental associations in the ADA and start passing legislation like we did here in Utah. You simply need to protect the quality of oral health care you can deliver to your patients. And you need to be paid fairly for the services you provide. I'm so glad to see our colleagues in California taking a strong stance. Pray for them. I love it when dental insurance reps, and especially dentists and their teams, do not understand the difference between unbundling and value-added services. Offering choice to your patients for better materials, technology, and medications or procedures is called value-added services and can be found in nearly every dental contract, let alone state laws. Unbundling would be like charging your patient for scaling and then polishing separately, and maybe even charging them for flossing. You know, when those 3 procedures are qualified under the term prophylaxis, that would be unbundling. Do you give away medicated mouthwash at the prophy appointment, or do you charge the patient for it? And what about that electric toothbrush? I'm sure dental insurance companies would love to bundle those products into a prophy too, and they will if you let them. And that's where we need to stand our ground. Don't let them. One of my favorite platitudes with this thought leadership is when a dental team member, or heaven forbid, the dentist, yeah, doc, when you make this stupid business statement, and I quote, "We give it away as a courtesy to our patients," end of quote. That thought leadership of principle would lead you to reason that profitability is key to running any business, especially a dental practice, which is shockingly an actual business, my friends, and you should manage it as such. I'm starting to wonder if Delta Dental Washington believes Oral-B toothbrushes and medicated mouth rinses should be inclusive with the periodic exams and cleanings. I know one of their team members listens to this podcast, so I probably shouldn't give them any suggestions, right? I'm fairly confident the individuals running these insurance companies are good people, and they really are. I mean, we talk to them, we do, but I firmly believe that many of them lack skills required to set policy that positively affects the oral care of their very clients. They don't have policies because they're business people. They're like controlling patients' oral health care based upon the dollar, based upon profitability of the company. It's exactly why dentists on PPO plans beat up their dental supplier reps for cheaper pricing and cheaper products, and they beat up the dental labs to continue. And who continue to see a decline. Labs have told us this. In fact, we have a really cool survey out there right now, and it's going to shock all of you when we tell you about it. But the labs have seen a decline in high-quality prosthetics being ordered from PPO-driven practices. Again, platitudes versus principles. Now on to example 3. If an EOB states that a procedure is inclusive and not billable to the patient, you have to write it off. Oh my gosh. I hear this platitude all the time with consultants and office managers. Why do so many give up so quickly when it comes to dental insurance plans telling you to do free dentistry? Again, I'm going to put a tagline in here for our new Utah law. We don't have to write it off here in Utah because we have a law that governs that now, that protects us. It's actually called the Network Leasing, Downcoding, and Bundling Protections Law. What an idea. This is where your non-covered service law comes into play more often than not. If a procedure you perform has a valid CDT code and it's not covered by the plan, chances are they cannot tell you to write it off. They love using the word inclusive. But there are simple phrases you can use to verify who is responsible for payment. Believe me, it's usually not you, doc. You don't have to pay for that. Neither does your team. This is something we teach here at My Practice, My Business. We actually teach a lot of business skills here at MPMB, all of them helping dentists and their teams to be profitable with the majority of their dental services. This is exactly why our trained offices stay on PPO plans, because they learn how to be profitable with them and work with them. Except Delta Dental of Washington and Oklahoma, but we're going to win those battles. I mean, hopefully their management teams, their leaders, have a degree of common sense in them, like the deltas of Utah and Texas and all the South and everywhere else. Unbelievable. Anyway, here's the thought leadership principle to example number 3. If the procedure is not covered by the plan, then it's the patient's responsibility to pay for it. There are ways to present treatment so that the patient pays for this service up front, right at your desk, right at your counter, which prevents you from chasing the payment. Again, just some of the business skills we teach here at MPMB. This entire podcast topic came up when I was actually talking with one of my sons. In his business, quote unquote, they too suffer from the feel-good platitudes that lack principle behind them. And as we talked, I quickly realized just how inundated we are in dentistry with the same problem. Tracy and I, and all of us here at My Practice, My Business, we're too busy acting on principles. That's what our thought leadership is completely surrounded by. We just don't have the time to express platitudes, which I think most of you know. We fight on principle as we're currently working on an addition to our dental law here in Utah that will hopefully protect dentists and their teams even more than the law that we got passed nearly 2 years ago. We're working on it. Hopefully we get it. Those who know us well will tell you that we are not here to make you feel good with platitudes. No, we're here to teach you how to fight for your rights and the rights of your patients with principle, and to help those wonderful dental patients understand that their dental insurance plans will simply not cover high-quality oral health care because of the small premiums that they or their employer groups pay to the dental insurance companies. I know I'm sticking up for the PPO plans now, but it's just business fact. It's unemotional. But the quality of their oral health care is the patient's decision, their decision, and theirs alone, and not the limiting dictates of their dental insurance plan. Our thought leadership here consists of changing that status quo of your current office protocols, docs, and teaching you business principles that are grounded in truth, justice, and the American way. I love that phrase. I had to use it there. I'm sorry. All of us here at My Practice, My Business, we applaud and support those dental insurance companies who align themselves with the thought leadership we have discussed here today. We're grateful for those dental insurance companies that actually care about the quality of delivery and the quality of care of their patients, It's those third-party payers who we recommend to our patients, and especially their HR departments. Those forward-thinking dental insurance companies understand the court of public opinion, and for the rest, that's why we have to pass legislation to protect dentists and the patients that we serve. We want to thank the Utah Dental Association and our amazing executive for the support that Tracy and I have been given by them to accomplish this type of legislation. When we work together with our associations, you guys, we can win the battle, but you have to be a voice and you cannot give up, and you have to speak you just have to speak truth. And the truth is that you need to protect yourself and your patients from the ideologies that we are seeing in this country that tend to want to change the definitions of everything. We cannot allow them to redefine what unbundling is versus value-added service. We have to stand up for what's right. And I hope all of you will get involved with your associations and really push for change, push for the legislation. It's not really we're pushing for change. We're actually pushing to maintain the values that have always existed. I appreciate you all being here today.
Thank you for being with us today. Since 2006, My Practice, My Business has been teaching dentists and their teams business skills, dental insurance contractual protocols, and state laws governing how to profitably bill patients fairly for the need-based services they provide. What's more, we guarantee our training, unlike other dental consulting companies in the industry. Simply stated, if you don't increase your net revenue, we don't get paid. We call it dental consulting the way it should be. We believe there has never been a more important time than now for dentists to experience and implement our key methods, knowledge, and business training within their dental practices. To learn more about our guaranteed, no-risk clinical business of dentistry training that is changing dental practices for the better, just go to our website, mypracticemybusiness.com, and surf our pages for additional information about our company and the services we provide. When you're ready, give us a call and get scheduled for the most profitable dental business training that you will ever experience. If you enjoyed our podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call us. Thank you again and have a fantastic day.